and again, like it does take me back to my dad. Like my dad always, we would walk, in my neighborhood. Like when I remember these conversations when I was younger, and my father was always like, you are just as good as anybody else. Like you can do, like he really truly believed that too. Like he wasn't just saying like, you can be president. No, like when he said
You
you
felt it. Yeah.
I felt it because he meant it, and I
Mm.
absorbed that, and I took that, and I received that.
You know, I always say every great game plan needs great players. And today we've got a powerhouse in the huddle. Kettia Ming is the executive director of Black Theater United, a national force pushing the arts towards more equity, more opportunity, and more truth. She's spent over 2 decades blending education, entrepreneurship, and soul driven leadership, from founding one of New York City's first art based preschools to securing millions of funding for programs that uplift and inspire. Her vision is strategic, her heart is rooted in community, and her impact, well, it speaks for itself. I'm honored to welcome Ketia Ming to the Playbook. Let's get it in. All right, folks, we're here with Ketia, my good friend. Ketia, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for joining us on the Playbook with Coach Rod. You're our special guest, the first Haitian on this platform. So I'm real excited about that,
Yeah.
repping our country. Uh, Again, just one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on this podcast was I've never seen someone like you in the position of leading a art-based advocacy platform, so to speak. And more importantly, after getting to talk to you and know you, I didn't realize there were so many opportunities in the arts beyond being front of stage. And as I got to speak to you more, I just saw more depth. And I was like, wait a minute, I would love to just hear her journey because it's not linear, right?
It's
So, so just to start off, tell us a little bit about your early professional career. Because I know you started in marketing and then went into ownership.
Yeah. So, first of all, thank you for having me.
Of
I'm very
course.
excited to be here. And thank you for inviting me on your platform. And I'm really looking forward to having this conversation with you. And hopefully, just, people listening can get something from our conversation. So, I started my early career in marketing, actually, really merchandising, fashion merchandising to be exact. I went to school in London for fashion, and came home and worked in the fashion industry for a really long time, doing all sorts of things, marketing, merchandising, assistant. I worked for Michael Kors at some point before he was like the Michael Kors. And so, and then I got married and had my kids in the city, and very organically, I want to say it was very much like, necessities, the mother of all invention. That's how I
Mhm.
ended up in the preschool, early childhood education space. Couldn't find preschool or childcare for my third child. My daughter at the
Mhm.
time was 15 months old. She's 23 now.
Wow.
Um,
I would have never guessed.
I
Okay.
know.
I hate to
And
say it, but black don't crack, right?
we do not. We do not. I mean, let's not play.
Hmm.
So yeah, and that's how I started Smarter Toddler. I was living, my husband and I were living at the time in what we call a garden apartment in
Hmm.
Manhattan, which is like the ground floor where you have like a bottom area that's like a rec room, and then there's like an upstairs area where your living room, your bedroom, and kitchen, all that stuff. And then when you open up the door off of the living room, there's like this garden that's an enclosed space. And it's like, they're very, very hard to find. This was like a really like winning the lottery, like real estate
Okay.
lottery in Manhattan. So when we got to that apartment and I couldn't find childcare for Sophie, I mean, there's a lot more to this story. Obviously,
Hmm.
I bounced around from different places, etc., and it just wasn't work out. And I turned to my husband one night and I was like, "We should just do it right here. We should just start preschool
Mm.
downstairs and have Sophie at home." And that's how very humbly, like
Yeah.
the whole daycare business
Oh.
started, which
Uh-huh.
like turned into 4 preschools in Manhattan, which I eventually
Wow.
sold. Yeah,
So wait a second, because that's packed. One, uh, people don't realize you went to, I think, what, the London school, or you went to
fashion.
school in London.
Yeah, I went to school in London. Yes.
How did we get there? Like, so give us a little bit more context around your background, like where
Yeah,
you came from, where you were raised, and then how did we end up in London?
in London. Okay.
And I don't hear no accent. So,
Oh, yeah, no. So I'm Haitian.
hmm
I came here to New York. My family, my mom and dad were the
hmm
first to come. And then the way it worked back then, the whole immigration, like the parents usually would come first and then send for the
yeah.
kids. And
hmm
that's what my dad did. My dad came first and
Oh,
then for my mom. So this
okay.
is like, we're talking late, early 70s, like 70, 71, right?
hmm
And then they sent for all of us, my brother, my older brothers, my older sisters, like everybody came like, it was like Noah's Ark. Like we all came by twos. So I came with my sister. I was 12 at the time. My
Uh-huh.
sister was 14, and we were the first two they sent for because we were the youngest. And then
Okay.
they sent for like my other siblings, my older brothers, and then my older sister. And then we all came. So there are 5 of us total.
hmm
Um, and yeah, and then so I came to New York when I was 12 years old as an immigrant
Yeah.
and didn't speak a word of English. And, fun fact,
hmm
one little thing, like, so to this day, I still translate stuff in my head every once in a while. Like, it
So,
depends on what.
same thing with, I was born here, but I was raised in my culture, which means my
Yeah.
parents did speak English. So there's
Uh-huh.
certain words I'm like, how the heck do you say this in
Yeah,
English?
exactly.
And I still struggle with certain words because, like, I say cereal, and because we use words like soje, so
Right,
I
right,
still
right.
struggle every now and then when
Yeah.
there's a ce in a word. But go
Mhm.
ahead.
Yeah. Every once in a while, my Haitian accent will come out. Like, my daughter will tell me, she'll be like, Mom, like, every once in a while, it just,
hmm
there's Haitian mom.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so it's there.
hmm
I'm not trying to lose it. I don't really care, but it's there.
yes, for sure.
Yeah. And so that's how I came to the US and went to high school, grew up on the Upper West Side, went to high
hmm
school in fashion industries. And then so I was raised in a very, very strict Seventh-day Adventist household.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's very strict.
Uh-huh.
We weren't allowed to wear pants, jewelry,
Yeah.
like the whole thing. Seventh day, right? If you
hmm
know Seventh-day Adventist religion, that was my household.
Yeah.
And my going away to London was my way of breaking away from my family,
Ah,
like just get some
got you.
freedom.
Yeah.
And so it just, I literally, read about the college in the back of a magazine, and I was like, that sounds
Uh,
intriguing. Like, how do I get
wow.
there? And I
Yeah.
was talking to my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, we should do this. We should go. Like, what are we doing here? Like it just,
hmm
I don't, we just like sort of like followed all the steps and all and took the test and did this and did that. And it was like, yeah, we're going to London. My parents it was very, out of character to have a child to go away, not just
Yeah.
out of state, but out of the country. But I was always kind of like the odd duck in the family. So they
hmm
weren't super shocked, but they were like supportive.
hmm
As long as I kept going to church, which I didn't, but that's a whole other story. Once I got here, I was like, I'm in London. I didn't
Yeah.
go crazy or anything
Yeah.
because I don't know. Look, what you learn, it stays with
hmm
you. But
hmm
it was an incredible experience, and that's where I met my husband, my ex-husband, and
hmm
in college. And yeah, and then we came back to the U.S. and settled here in New York, and that's where my journey started.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
So what made you have the preschool focus on the arts? Because that's something you tout, is that you're one of the first art based
yeah,
preschools. And so what made that different than a traditional preschool?
yeah. Absolutely. So I've always loved the arts. Like in college, I did major in fashion merchandising, but I met my husband there at the time who was an artist. And
hmm
he created his major was fashion design, but that was really more of his way to pacify his parents. They didn't
Ah,
want him to become like a starving artist.
yeah.
So to them, he was like, well, I can be like, Yves Saint Laurent, and I can do these
Mm,
things, and I can sell like so then his parents were kind of like, oh, okay, so I see where this is going. So if he had said I wanted to be an artist, like that wouldn't have gone down really well.
gotcha.
So that's
That
just
makes. I mean, I have a 19-year-old who's about to be 20, and I think he's switching his major from molecular biology to philosophy, and it's not going over well with me. So
yeah.
I get it.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So we really did spend a lot of time in Europe after graduation, and we both moved to Paris. Like,
Mm,
at the time, got a job in Paris. I had a job selling his design in Paris. So we're very steeped into the whole culture
mm,
of design and arts. And so when we came to New York and settled in New York, got married, had the kids, art was a huge part of our life. Like, he kept working as an artist.
mhm,
And I remember with the first two kids, while they did both go to daycares and preschools, and we were always full-time working parents,
mhm,
we were always very unhappy with what was available at the time, and sort of like the way that daycare is presented as sort of like just
mm,
institution sort of thing, just very clinical, like white
mhm.
walls, either white
Gotcha.
walls or super primary colors, like it's one or the other. So it
Mm,
was either white walls and very clinical, or just very chaotic and not very soothing at all. And that was something that used to always grate on us. Like, we would go and be like, oh my gosh, there's got to be a better way to do this.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
not ideal. And so even when we started the daycare in the house, like in the rec center in my apartment, the goal was always to elevate that and to have,
Mm.
music playing and real art on the wall, and have yoga and have, African drama. It was
Yoga for preschool?
for babies, actually.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, I had yoga classes starting with my 3-month-olds. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, which was and it's been
Mhm.
proven that it's beneficial for
I
babies.
can imagine.
Yeah. And literally, I was one of the first people on the Upper West Side in Manhattan to have live music in the classroom. Not like we're going to play it over the loudspeaker, but we had music teachers, we had instruments,
Oh.
it was very tangible. Like, kids can touch it
Mm.
and hold it
I
and
I can
actually experience.
visualize the benefit for
Mhm.
young children,
Yeah.
their motor
Their motor
function, but
skills.
also their
Exactly.
cognitive and
Yep.
even their confidence and self-esteem and their
Mhm.
joy, their mood.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
I'm so glad I asked you that. I didn't know. I knew you had the preschool, but
Yeah.
fortunately, I thought it was, a preschool. But
Yeah.
that that's
That's what everybody thinks. Like,
that
and
would
then
have been the perfect solution for me to my children because obviously I have three children and preschool is a struggle.
Mhm.
So that's inspiring.
Yeah.
So eventually you end up closing the schools.
Well, I sold the schools.
Sold.
The
Okay.
first two schools,
Mhm.
the first commercial one. So I moved out of my apartment because
Mhm.
it became very successful, and I had a wait list a mile long, and et cetera, et cetera.
Mhm.
And then opened up the first commercial space on West 89th Street, and then the second commercial space almost immediately, like about a year later, on West 55th Street, like right across the street from Alvin Ailey.
Oh.
Ran those two schools for about 11 years, and then Bright Horizons bought them from me. This was like around
Oh.
2014. So sold those two to Bright Horizons. I
Mhm.
took a break for about a year and a half, and then
Mhm.
reopened the preschools, like just went back into the business in 2016. And I opened up two new Smarter Toddlers, like in the FIDI area,
Yeah.
John Street, and then in Williamsburg. So I had
Mhm.
those two locations open simultaneously in the fall of 2016, and ultimately sold those two to KinderCare in 2021, kind of right in the
Wow.
middle of the pandemic. Yeah,
Okay.
that was fun. Nah,
Right.
um, yeah. So that's yeah. And then I was out of the preschool business. Yeah.
So this is interesting, right? Because we knew each other through entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So growing up, Haitian parents, strict religious
Mhm.
foundation, you decide to travel all the way to London, which is, to me, courageous. you
Yeah.
get into the fashion industry, you're working in the arts and you were artists and merchandising. What what were your challenges with being a business owner? Because not only are you a woman, but you're also a person of color. You're in the city.
An immigrant.
Like, how did you navigate this world of art and entrepreneurship? Because if you're able to sell, and Bright Horizon is a known commodity,
Yeah.
like, talk to us a little bit about that journey into now from artist to entrepreneur.
Yeah, so it was very challenging, but also very fulfilling. And I learned a
Hmm.
lot, obviously, because I did not go to business school.
Yeah.
So everything I learned on the job. I basically was, what is it people say, like fixing the plane as you fly it or whatever.
Yeah.
That
We
was me.
say we're painting the train as it's
Yeah,
as it's on the tracks.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That was me.
Hmm.
But one thing I was gonna do is I was gonna figure it out. Like so,
Mm.
and I did, and I figured out how to. At first, it was tough. At first, there was a lot of trial and error, but it didn't really take me long to figure it out
Mm.
because the main reason is because those families' needs, the service that I was providing, it was my need, right? I was
Mm.
those families. I could
Hmm.
relate. I knew what they wanted. I knew what they wanted for their kids. It was the same thing I wanted for my kids.
Mm.
One of the key things for me in running Smarter Toddler was always like, if I walked into a classroom and I wouldn't have my daughter in there,
Mm.
that classroom was going to change. Like
Yeah.
I was not going to have anybody else's children in that classroom. Like
Gotcha.
that was important. That was how I ran the schools.
Ah.
Every teacher knew this. It was like if I walk into a classroom, I need to be able to plop my own baby in there and be like, this is amazing. Like that
Got
was
you.
important. So that was one of my core
Mm.
beliefs in like running the schools, right? And that really served, and the parents really understood that I had their children's best interest at heart. Like they really
Mm.
bought into the whole concept of what I was doing there with the school, right?
Mm.
Because they saw it. They saw it firsthand. They saw the community, they saw the culture, and it was something that they wanted to be a part of. Not to say that there weren't challenges, and the challenges were many. Again, as you mentioned, I am a Black woman, I am an immigrant, I am, just on the Upper West Side and the financial district in Williamsburg. These are, those neighborhoods, right? I don't even
Yeah.
need to tell you about those neighborhoods.
Hmm.
And so I think learning to understanding sort of like I am not going to be able to please every single person. Once
Yeah.
I learned that was a huge turning point for me
Ah.
because I stopped trying to like turn myself into a pretzel to make every single person happy because some people weren't happy not because it wasn't the best service or it wasn't something with the kids or something with the teachers, just because of who was running it. Like people would be like, oh, I didn't know
Yeah.
that clock, like so lots of micro
Mm.
impressions, lots. And I mean I can write a whole book, which I you don't have time for you don't have
But
time
no.
for stories.
So what I'm hearing though, if
Mhm.
I translate to business terms, is
Yeah.
you had to know who you were.
Yes.
You had core values that you would not compromise on, and you were very clear on the your value and communicating your value. And something we teach business owners, and this is not a
Mhm.
business, I guess it is a business conversation, is you have to fire bad customers.
Yes.
We're okay if I'm not for you and you're not for me. And then there's a thing called grace. Like, we're gonna make mistakes. We can't hang our hat on those mistakes. I will ask you, are there any, because in business now I realize a lot of my skills I learned through my parents
Mhm.
indirectly,
Yeah.
right? My discipline. Are there one or two characteristics from your upbringing that you probably didn't maybe appreciate when you were going through it, but you
Mhm.
realized this served me well as an adult?
Yes,
Hmm.
definitely. And that's from my dad. Like my dad was
Me too. Hmm.
very hardworking, incredible vision all the time for his kids.
Mm.
And he was always my dad always taught, and that was all of us, like to rise above it, but in a way
Mm.
that's like, it's not about you. This is not about you. This is about them. Like you don't take
Mm.
any of this stuff personally. My dad hated, the term is like, well, the man is making me do this, or the man, like,
Ah.
oh my gosh, he hated that term. Like, he hated when people would say that, because it's like, you can rise above that. It's nothing to do with somebody outside of you, or the man this,
Mm.
that. Like, you just focus on your own journey, focus on your own work. If
Mm.
this is your job, you're gonna do the best possible job, and then add an extra 50% to that. That was my
It's like Martin Luther King, right? If you're a street sweeper, be the best street sweeper there is.
yep, yep,
Yeah,
yep,
because I'm listening, and because your path is not linear, it made me ask myself, wow,
mhm,
there has to be something that instinctually tapped in, and it had to be from something she learned and didn't realize was going to pay tribute. So
yeah,
now take us to where you are now, because Black Theater United,
hmm,
I've seen it. I didn't know it, but I was so proud to meet you as the executive director.
yeah,
And then I dug a little deeper,
yeah,
and then I started looking at the board and who started it. And I said, well, wait a minute. How did we get here?
yeah, yeah.
So take us to how you became the executive director of Black Theater United. And again, for the listeners, give a
Yeah.
little soundbite on Black Theater United.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So Black Theater United was founded in 2020 by 19 some of the top luminaries on Broadway. And if I started to
Luminaries. Oh, we getting fancy.
luminaries, yes, luminaries. And if I started to name some of them, honestly, you all know their names, right? Like
Yeah.
LaShawn's, Audra McDonald, Norm Lewis, Vanessa Williams. There's
Mm.
19 of them total. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to leave anybody out, so I'm not going to list them all. And so they started this organization in response to, I think, some people are calling it like the summer of reckoning of 2020 in our country.
Mm.
And it was after the murder of George Floyd, and they felt that that there wasn't actually, it was more of a lack of response from the Broadway community, from the theater industry, about what was happening in the country. So it was silence.
Mm.
And so these folks got together, and they all know each other. They're all colleagues. They all, have been in the industry for a long time, very, very successful. And they got together and created Black Theater United. Now, they're artists and they're creatives. So they had this big, bold vision for Black
Mm-hmm.
Theater United, and had very, very ambitious goals for the organization to diversify the back of stage, of Broadway. And what that means when I say back of stage, it's all of the opportunities and all of the careers that happens outside of the stage, behind the scenes. So
Mm-hmm.
the folks who are running the show, which are like the stage managers, like the lighting designers, the sound designers, the people you don't hear about, the creatives all behind the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
not the actors on stage. And to diversify that, and to get more of our stories told on Broadway.
Mm.
But again, big, bold vision, right? And they
Mm-hmm.
didn't have someone to execute on that. They didn't have someone to put the systems in place.
Mm.
And that's how I came into the picture. I knew one of the founders, and they reached out to me, and we started talking. And a fun fact, today, August 1st, is actually the 3rd-year anniversary of me coming to Black Theater United.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I know.
Happy
And
anniversary.
thank you. And I was looking at 6 months. I was like, I can give you guys 6 months. I can do it
Mm.
for 6 months and set everything in place,
Yeah.
put you in a good, position, hire an executive director for y'all, like do the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and here we are 3 years later. So yeah.
So it was a 6-month engagement. I have
Mm-hmm.
some other questions,
Mm-hmm.
but you're now 3 years,
Correct.
right? It sounds like my ex-wife. It's supposed to be one day, and I trapped her for 20 years, right? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But
Not
what are
chapter, not the word trap.
right? Yeah, that's a poor choice of words. Now that I'm thinking about it, but what something had to have happened that said, okay, this is in alignment with who I am, or
Yeah.
there's some alignment with, because up until now it seems like value, and inner fulfillment drives you. So
Mhm.
what connected you to stay and take on this ambitious vision?
Yeah, so I love the work. I do.
Mm.
And I love the work. And more important than the work, I love seeing the impact of the work that we do.
Mm.
And it was very in alignment with what I believe in, using the arts as a platform to create change. The way, even when I was running my preschools and bringing the arts into the classroom, And the idea for that was to have exposure, for the children to have exposure as early on in their life as
Mm.
possible.
Okay.
Because the arts, they change minds, they change hearts. When you listen to when you listen to a song or some type of music, or you watch
Mm-hmm.
a show, you leave the theater and you're like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know, like, about these people's lives or these particular situation. Like when you think about a Raisin in the Sun, like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it changes minds. And
Fences did that with me with James Earl Jones though. That father scene, I ain't got
yes,
to like you, and I was like, oh my god, I
right, yeah,
felt I felt the pain of the
yes.
father in multiple ways. Like,
Yes.
oh, but go ahead. I hate to
And that's what,
interrupt you.
no, that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. And that's what the arts, that's what it's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the arts is supposed to do. And so to me, I really sort of uh, everything that they do, the value of the work that they do, everything that we talked about doing at Black Theater United, the idea that my first idea was like, we're going to go into schools. We need to go
Mm-hmm.
into schools. We need education. We need theater
Sure.
education. We need,
Yeah. Of
So
course.
I knew immediately, I had ideas immediately of what we needed to do and how we're going to further the reach of the organization to create more impact.
Mm-hmm.
And I just knew like 6 months wasn't gonna do all the work that needed to be
Mm.
done, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so and every year, like, I stayed, and I'm still here, and we all very happy with the work
Mm-hmm.
that we've been doing so far
Yeah.
and where the organization is headed and the momentum that we've had. Um, and so, yeah, that's the reason that I stayed as long as I have. And I still have big plans for the organization and where we see ourselves. But
Yeah. I
yeah,
think it's
we're
much
working on
needed.
that.
I think the
Mhm.
organization. So, fun fact: my mom wanted me to be, put me in commercials or took me to acting school, and
Mhm.
there's a part of my life that was the thespian route. But
Okay, I can
yeah,
see it. I
I'm
can see
done
it.
off Broadway. Believe it. As much as I've studied
Yeah.
finance and
Uh,
investments, I'm really more of a. You've seen me in person. I'm more
yeah,
theatrical, if
I
anything,
can see
right?
it. You
Uh,
bring the drama. Let's just, you know,
in the good drama, in a good way,
you
in a
bring the
good
good
way,
drama. Yeah.
right? But I find it fascinating because my youngest daughter, super talented, and it's clear she is an artist, right? From
Hmm.
the time she was young, this girl was always, when I say dirty, clothes will always have chalk, paint. She just, any surface was her play toy. The
Yeah.
walls in my house, my leather couch, everything was fair game for her.
Hmm.
And it, admittedly so, I didn't understand it because I was trying to keep your hands clean, keep your clothes clean, and because I couldn't see a future. Like as a dad, I'm trained to almost see what will you be good at and
Yes.
encourage it. But
Yeah.
because even my vision and my landscape, theater was never an option for you.
Hmm.
So I never saw it. At some point it clicked, and I used to, whenever she would have paint all over her hands or write, I said, "Oh, look at my little artist at play again." Because I started using more affirming words,
Yeah.
but I still struggled with, this is what you're gonna do. How are we going to get you to a place where you can have a livelihood based off of this? Because
Yeah.
the arts, my limited knowledge of the arts is, you have your artists that are painters,
Hmm.
and then you have artists that are actors. So when you told me there are positions and things in that evolve the arts that people won't even know the name of, how do we now get children of color, because I can only speak to that, to know these options? How do we educate them? How do we make this a part of the conversation in households that look like mine?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's too difficult of a question to ask.
No, it's not. And that is exactly the sort of thing that we are working on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So everything you just said sounds exactly to me like when I interview. So we do this internship program.
Mm-hmm.
When I interview students for the internship program, a lot of them, that's what their parents say. Like their parents are like, well, are you really going to make a living, doing this? Like, really, can you really be a dancer? Can you really? So
Mm-hmm.
what the internship program does, it's a marketing internship program on Broadway. And I work with some of the top Broadway agencies who represent some of the biggest shows on Broadway. So these are people that do all of the promotions and the marketing and the advertising and all that stuff, and they come up with the concepts of how to sell you to a Broadway show. And so these kids come in from all over the country. The internship program, we put them up in housing. We use St.
Mhm.
John's University in Queens.
Okay.
And, yeah, and put them up, and just it's a whole summer. It's an incredible opportunity and experience for these students to work in these agencies hands on, 9 to 5 every day, and really be immersed in the business and to see what everyone does. And one of the things that, again, in the beginning when we interviewing them, they're like, well, my mom or my dad or my parents, they
Mhm.
don't want me to do this because they're like, where's the future? How are you going to make money? Like only less
Mhm.
than 1% make it, and you're black, and
Mhm. Mhm.
so there's that whole, and these are real concerns. Like these are not like, oh, this my parent is, whatever. These are real concerns for any parent because you're
Sure.
paying for college and you're doing all this, and all you want to do is see your kid successful and happy and doing something that they love. But you don't want them to be a starving artist, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So through our internship program, we do introduce sort of like all of the different career options and pathways that these students can pursue. And one of the lines that I hear the most at the end of the program is, "Oh my God, I didn't know this wasn't, an option for me. I didn't know this was an opportunity. I didn't know I could do this." And so they really just soak up all of that and really take it back home and take it back to college or their town or whatever, and be like, "I want to do this or that or the other." Another thing, one of the reasons I really, really wanted to do the education program, which we target even younger children than the college students, is because you can imagine, right? Middle schoolers, they don't, most of them, especially, black and brown kids,
Mhm. Mhm.
they've never seen a Broadway show. I mean, the most they've gone to Broadway is seeing a Lion King commercial on television, right? While they're watching their whatever TV shows. And so what we do is we go into the classroom. This is not even an after school program. This is in class curriculum, part of the DOE. And we have teaching artists who come in and literally will teach them about the theater arts from A to Z, like how to start, how to write a screenplay. What is a screenplay?
Mm.
How to write a musical.
Yeah.
And then we take them from concept to fruition, like all the way to the stage. And they learn about all the different jobs that people do on stage. They learn about lighting design. They learn about sound. So the entire class will decide who's going to do what. Who's going to be the actors on stage
Mhm.
and who's going to do the work backstage. Who's going to be the director, the producer, the writer. Who's going to do the hair and makeup and set and all that stuff. So the kids are so immersed in the program,
Mm.
and then at the end, you have your little, fashion designer here. You have your little set designer here. And they get so excited about these options, and their families, when we hear from their families, like, "Oh my God, thank you so much. You guys, this is such an incredible program. I didn't know my kids could do this. I didn't know they were interested. I didn't know
Yeah.
they care." Like, so it's just it's small, but it
Mhm.
just takes a seed, right? Like right now we're in 3 schools,
Mm.
and the goal is to go national, is to
Yeah.
go into as many schools as possible, and to really start from early on when they're moldable, when they're searching, when they're curious, when they're learning, and
Yeah.
they take it through like the whole college level, right? So that's
Wow.
yeah.
I'm inspired, and maybe a conversation offline, because the minute you said
Mhm,
screenplay, it was funny because one of the things that we're trying to do with Black Dad Unfiltered now
mhm,
is take real life parent child situations and turn that situation into a short film, 30, 40, 50 minutes, where
cool.
we believe by doing that, it gives one a chance for a parent and a child to watch a film that speaks to their experience and gives you perspective from each person. It's very, very similar to Fences. When
Mhm.
I saw James, because James Earl Jones is still the goat to me for that. For that, Denzel did his thing, but when he says,
It is.
"I don't have to like you," it ignited all the pain in me as a immigrant child,
Mm,
right? Because that's really what it was. It was, we
yeah,
don't need to get along. You're gonna do what I say.
that's right.
But
Because that's
on
how it
the
is in those households. Yeah.
yeah, but on the other end, as he continued, and he said, "It is my job." It gave me insight into how he thinks, and it allowed me to almost imagine how my father thinks. So I brought that up because I said, okay, now I need to know how to write. I need to know.
Screenplay.
Yeah, because I think we'll talk offline, because I think
Mhm.
that also is empowering to a lot of people that are trying to figure this out. Because there's adults still trying to figure out what they want to do,
Yeah.
and I do believe when you go into the Caribbean, there is a genetic connection to
Hmm.
the arts, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I want to wrap up, but there's a few questions I want to ask, right? Because I want
Okay.
to know about the confidence, and we'll wrap up on that. Because you go from London, but that's confident, but you go from London to, merchandising, now to owning your own school, and now you are in a room with some of, the most recognizable faces in acting.
Hmm.
Just period. Vanessa Williams is not just a black act; she's an
Right.
actress,
She is. Yeah, I know. She's
right?
not con.
So how do you sit there and say I belong? Because I want people to walk away understanding that we belong, whoever it is. So I don't know if you even had that issue, or were you just always like, listen,
No,
hey.
I don't. No, I have that issue just like everybody else,
Hmm.
and you hear people talk all the time about imposter syndrome. And yes, imposter syndrome is my roommate, right? Like, no, it really is. Like, it's my roommate. I just learned how to live with it and how
Mm.
to overcome it and like know what it is, right? And
Hmm.
I admit to it so that I can overcome it. But
Got you.
it's there.
So there's
Um,
a facing it head on.
That's right.
Hmm.
Like, and in there, and again, like it does take me back to my dad. Like my dad always, we would walk, in my neighborhood. Like when I remember these conversations when I was younger, and my
Mm.
father was always like, you are just as good as anybody else. Like you can do, like he really truly believed that too. Like he
Mm.
wasn't just saying like, you can be president. No,
Mm.
like when he said
You
you,
felt it, yeah.
I felt it because he meant it and I
Mm.
absorbed that and I took that and I received that. And whenever I feel like, well, do I really, oh my gosh, like what are they going to say? Like, I don't really, blah, blah, blah. And I have to really go back and
Hmm.
talk to myself, like literally talk to myself that like, no, you can do this. You got this. Like, and I had to be my own cheerleader
Mm.
because nobody else is going to be your own cheer. Like, you have to be your own cheerleader first and really kind of get yourself to the front of that starting line and truly believe it for yourself because
Mm.
then nobody else will believe you. Right.
Got you.
So it's not so much that I don't have confidence in that way. Like I'm not that person. Like I'd never be an actor. Like
Mhm.
God no. But I certainly believe in who I am, and
Mhm.
it's taken a long time to get here. Don't get me wrong. It didn't
Sure.
happen today.
It's a
Um,
journey.
it's a journey.
Mhm.
Yeah. But once I was comfortable with that, then I knew how to overcome whatever the doubts and the fear and all that stuff that came. Yeah.
Oh wow, Ketia, I wish I had more time. I want to respect your time because obviously you're running a great program. So, if people wanted to follow or learn more about Black Theater United or of you, how do we find you?
Yes, so
Mhm.
blacktheaterunited.com. Theater is spelled the British way, Theatre,
I
Tre,
noticed that.
not TER.
Mhm.
Blacktheaterunited.com. We are on social as blacktheaterunited.com, IG, LinkedIn, all blacktheaterunited.com. So please follow and subscribe to our newsletter. Everything happens in the newsletter. You get all the information. You get all the, previews and tickets sometimes. So yeah, definitely subscribe to the newsletter.
Listen, I am so proud to know you.
Thank
I'm inspired because when I went to I took it was a big thing for me growing up. Les Miserables was the thing. Cats, no, Cats was the thing running on
That's
Broadway
what's
for
the
so
thing.
long,
Yes.
and and I always wanted to go as a young kid, but my parents don't
Mhm.
know nothing. So I would take my kids to theater shows, and oh, y- those who have not attended a Broadway show, please do. Those who
Yes.
have, I almost encourage bring as many young people as you can because it
Yes.
does change people. Well,
Hmm.
Ketia, thank you, thank you,
Thank
thank
you.
you. For those who are listening, again, this is the Playbook with Coach Rod with our special guest, Kettia Ming, the Executive Director of Black Theater United and dynamic powerhouse entrepreneur. Um, So
Well,
this
thank you,
is
Rod.
you're welcome. Well, this is where the playbook, where real stories meet real strategy. If this episode gave you insight or fuel, hit the follow button and drop a comment. Share it, follow us, and help build the next generation of leaders. Look out for new episodes on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube because every dream needs a game plan. Thank you, Ketia. I'm Coach Rod. Thanks for tuning in to the playbook. If you got value from this episode, like, comment, and subscribe. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. Catch you next time.